Today, I'm going to be replaying the career of the best shooting guard of all time, Kobe Bryant, in NBA 2K23. The year is 1996, and I am one of the most hyped draft prospects ever. But due to my insane intangibles and wicked high school film, I'm choosing to skip college basketball and go straight to the NBA. And during the mid-90s in the NBA when I was coming in the draft, Michael Jordan was still on the Bulls, Smequle was a young up-and-comer on the Miami Heat, and of course you still had legends like Karl Malone, David Robinson, and Clyde Drexler ruling the NBA. However, during the season leading up to my NBA draft, there were a lot of teams tanking to get my talent. And while I was still dominating the high school scene, putting on move after move and dunk after dunk, the Indiana Pacers are winning the championship in the NBA with Alonzo Mourning winning Finals MVP. But I was about to take the NBA by storm as I was drafted first overall to the Denver Nuggets. And there were some other really good players drafted behind me like Steve Nash, Peja Stojakovic, Ray Allen, and Allen Iverson, but I think it's clear the Denver Nuggets made the right choice by drafting me. It felt good to finally have my hard work pay off, and I am coming into the league as an 83 overall, which is highly rated, but now it was really time to get to work to prove to all of the haters that I'm not just some overhyped high school kid. My first game of the season was against the defending champion Indiana Pacers, but unfortunately my coach had me watching from the sidelines as I started on the bench, and it wasn't until about 9 minutes to go in the second quarter where I would finally check in. And I do have Dikembe Mutombo on my team who will be a great pick and roll threat for me, but I was very nervous and ended up missing my first shot. Luckily though, later in the second quarter I was able to calm down a bit and get to the basket here where I was able to finish the layup. I was able to also start getting out in transition, but for some reason my teammates kept telling me that I'm a ball hog. We would end up losing my first game in heartbreaking fashion 103 to 102, but honestly I had a very solid first game as I had 31 points which led our team in scoring. I don't know about you guys, but I think that's a pretty good start to my career. As we made our way through my rookie season, I began to realize winning in the NBA is not easy. My team was barely in the playoffs with a record of 24 and 24 midway through, and while I was doing good individually, averaging 25 points and 4 assists a game, deep down in me I want to be a winner. But we were at All-Star weekend of my rookie year, and unfortunately I was not able to make the All-Star team in my rookie year. I was really hoping I'd get to go against this guy that everyone says is the greatest of all time, but luckily we ended up playing them in a February 16th regular season matchup. I was extremely nervous to go against the GOAT and my idol Michael Jordan. I was so nervous that I was just forcing shot after shot after shot, and defensively I just kept getting lost, leading to easy buckets for MJ. I would even come down the court and try and pull a J in MJ's face, but I missed it so badly my coach would end up subbing me out of the game. Michael Jordan ended up scoring 30 points, 4 rebounds, and 8 assists against me, while I had a really rough game, only shooting 8 for 22 from the field. But my rookie year would soon come to an end and Shaq would win MVP, and I was so devastated as I did not win Rookie of the Year because some short little white guy named Steve Nash averaged 20 points and 9 assists for the Dallas Mavericks. I did make all-rookie first team because I averaged 25 points and 4 assists, but to make matters even worse on top of not winning Rookie of the Year, my team didn't even make the playoffs as we finished with a record of 38 and 44. I had to watch the playoffs from my TV at home where the Pacers would win the title again, and Alonzo Mourning was quickly becoming one of the better players in the world. But I don't care about that because now I'm going into my second year in the NBA and I'm ready to prove to the league that I'm the best player. I worked so hard in the offseason on my footwork and my explosion, but also my ball handling and shooting ability to improve my skill. And thanks to that, I was able to go out and dominate in my first game of the season against Houston. It seemed like my game was just hitting a new level as they couldn't stop my strength. My speed in the open court felt like it was on a different level, and my explosion to the basket was just unstoppable. My defense was also getting better as my coach told me that to get more minutes I would have to play good on ball. And while my jump shot was still a work in progress, if you leave me open, I was gonna cash that motherfucker. This game ended up coming down to the wires. We were up by 3 points with 39 seconds to go. But luckily, your boy was at the free throw line ready to ice the game. Houston was coming down trying to force overtime with some late shots, but that wouldn't do it. We would end up winning the first game of the season behind my 22 points, 4 rebounds, and 8 assists on an extremely efficient 8 for 12 from the field. I really feel like this is the year where my skills are going to take off, and that was shown because once again at the league's All-Star break, I was already up to a 90 overall while averaging 28 points, 3 rebounds, rebounds, and 4 assists a game on 56% from the field. And although I wasn't starting in the game, I was able to make my first All-Star appearance, and let me tell you, when I got in, I was going absolutely stupid. It's an exhibition game, but it's just nice to finally be acknowledged for my hard work that I would put in the offseason. I even went down in transition and made this nice behind the back move into a snatchback where I jade the mid-range in his face. However, as we went through the long second half of the NBA season, the rest of my team was unfortunately just not able to keep up with my production, because as you guys can see, I did make All-NBA second team as a 19-year-old kid, along with Michael Jordan, who by the way is on the Atlanta Hawks now. But my team once again was not able to make the NBA playoffs, because we finished even worse than we did last year with a record of 35 and 47. And this year I was top 3 in the league in scoring at 27 points per game, only behind Allen Iverson and Kevin Garnett. But at some point I have to start winning if I want my legacy to mean anything in this world. Vin Baker of the Sacramento Kings would win Finals MVP, and at this point I was extremely fed up. It was time for me to take the next step as a superstar, and I was up to a 93 overall. And in my first game I showed exactly why, as I dropped 40 points with 5 rebounds and 6 assists on 16 for 27 shooting. No matter what it takes, I'm going to will my team to the playoffs, because I'm in year 3 of my career and I have no time to waste. And even after dropping 30 night after night after night, it didn't matter, because once again my team was straight dirty booty cheeks, literally nowhere near the playoffs. And yes, this season I did average 33 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists, but I'm starting to realize that my individual success isn't always going to lead to team success. I need some help on my team and to start utilizing them more if I ever want to be one of the greats and win NBA championships, like apparently Michael Jordan is still doing on the Atlanta Hawks at the age of 36. Now, before I could even blink, I was in year 4 of my career and at a 95 overall. But it seems like my team just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, because my second best player was this fat ass named Elton Brand. I mean, seriously, this motherfucker weighs over 300 pounds. And again, I've been in the gym working hard on my fundamentals. I even brought my teammates in for some team bonding and some open runs and scrimmages to try and get the camaraderie up. And luckily, this season, I was actually able to see the hard work begin to pay off. In this season, I won my first MVP award, averaging 33 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. But most importantly, my team got the #1 seed in the playoffs. We finally put it all together this year with a record of 57 and 25, and things were beginning to click on all cylinders. My point guard, white chocolate Jason Williams, was averaging 11 points and 7 assists a game. Badass Elton Brand was actually averaging 17 points and 9 rebounds a game, actually helping, and I felt like this was our year to actually make a playoff run. In the first round, we took on the San Antonio Spurs, and they have this rookie named Manu Ginobili, who's from Argentina, that everybody's freaking out about. He probably won't end up being that good. We ended up winning that series 3-1, and in the closeout game, I had 47 points on 18 for 23 from the field. We would then be taking on the Vancouver Grizzlies in the next round, and that team was pretty loaded with Kenny Smith and Larry Johnson, but it really doesn't matter what the other team has, because I think we're a team of destiny. Kenny Smith was trying to guard me, but I crossed his bitch ass over, went in the lane, and bodied him. And then on the very next possession, I was able to drive baseline and get another left-handed layup. And to seal it all off, I was able to work on some new moves that I had been putting in the offseason, like this turnaround jump shot. And before you knew it, I had our first 6 points of the game. I wasn't satisfied, as I was coming for blood and vengeance for missing the playoffs so many times before. I was getting whatever I wanted, including getting to my spot in the mid-range. And I was also turning up on defense, as my guy didn't even want the ball. I was bringing in rebounds, even getting out in transition where I knew they couldn't stop me as I was banging on them hoes. This was my game, and I was coming to prove a point. That's exactly what I did, as we won 130-120, and I scored 35 points with 5 assists on 13 for 20 from the field. We would end up winning that series and in the Western Conference Finals against the Clippers, meaning I was advancing to my first NBA Finals ever. We were taking on Nick Van Exel, Antonio McDyess, in the Orlando Magic, but honestly, with my leadership, I feel like our team has really hit a stride, and we found ourselves up 3-1 in the series, and it was time to leave my mark as one of the greatest basketball players in the world. And in this game, I wasn't taking no for an answer. On our first offensive possession, I was driving in the lane, snatching back and shooting left-handed hook shots. I was even blocking shots on defense and getting the rebound myself and then pushing it. I felt so generous this game, I was even getting assists. With about a minute and a half to go in the game, we were up 15 points, and it was finally starting to set in that I was going to win my first title. If you know anything about me, there's no sportsmanship, so I hit another turnaround jumper in their fucking face. And at this point, I was just so excited excited that I'd be winning my first title that I was trying to score as much as I could, but the time was winding down the way that it should with the ball in my hands. And I finally did it. I led my Denver Nuggets team, the team that drafted me, to my first NBA championship. It finally feels like all my hard work has paid off over the years, going back to being a little kid in France. And it was all capped off by me winning Finals MVP, averaging 31, 5, and 8. But let's be real, if I really wanted to be like Mike, I had a lot more to prove. The morning after we won the title, I was back in the gym at 5 a.m., making sure that nobody was going to take my throne. And in my next season after just winning the title, I would make All-NBA second team, averaging a career-high 34 points per game on 57% shooting, which did lead the league, meaning I won the scoring title. And this year, my Denver Nuggets got the 3 seed with a record of 45 and 37. But like I said, not every season has a happy ending. We ended up being eliminated in the first round. I did all I could, but we still lost the series 3-0, despite me having 48 points in the final game of the series. In that series, I actually averaged 37 points as a whole, but there was also a hole left in my heart because we couldn't repeat as champions. Allen Iverson, the number 2 overall pick in my draft class, ended up winning Finals MVP for the Jazz. No matter what, win or lose with my brothers on my team, it was time for all of us to get back in the lab to try and prove that we belonged as champions and weren't just some one-hit wonder. I was officially considered the best player in the world as I had a 97 overall rating. I was coming to prove a point in this new season, and the first victims on my list were the Charlotte Hornets. I was scoring bucket after bucket, including dunking all over motherfuckers. I would end up scoring 47 points opening night, and that catapulted me to greatness for the rest of the year. At least I thought it would. I was on All-NBA first team alongside the rest of these legends, and I did average 34 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists again, but my team was back to their old habits of being fucking awful, and we finished with a record of 34 and 48. But we once again missed the NBA playoffs, and I was watching from the couch as the Lakers won the title. Jason Kidd won Finals MVP, averaging 30 points and 11 assists. We were now in year 7 of my career, and my career stats are looking really good at 31 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists a game on over 50% shooting. I only have 1 championship, and that's really bothering me. And guys, after this season, I was starting to get really frustrated. Once again, I averaged around 30 points per game, which is really good. My team missed the playoffs again. Detroit Pistons would win the championship this year, with another really good shooting guard in the league, Vince Carter, winning Finals MVP. And at this point, I was starting to get so frustrated with the fact that I was doing all I could, but my team just couldn't consistently get the job done. So I decided it was time to make a change. So I signed with the Seattle Supersonics in NBA free agency. I needed a new look, and this team was already absolutely loaded. And in a storybook way, my first game was against my old team, the Denver Nuggets. So you guys already know I had to go out here and absolutely murder them. We got the win, and I had 37 points with 5 rebounds and 3 assists. And my new team was absolutely dominant. But there was this rookie in the NBA that everyone was talking about named LeBron James. He did okay this year. He only averaged 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists. I'm sure he won't be able to keep that up for very long. But anyways, I had another dominant season, averaging 26, 4, and 4 on 56% from the field. My team got the number 1 seed with the greatest record of all time at 74 and 8. So obviously we made it to the NBA Finals very easily against the Washington Wizards. This Wizards team has Andre Miller, Stephon Marbury, Stromile Swift. They were just not enough for us as we were able to win the title. My teammate Paul Pierce won Finals MVP, averaging 39 points per game. Good job, Paul. And this super team that honestly we have assembled in Seattle wasn't going to be slowing down anytime soon as we kept raking in the W's. I would even win another MVP award, averaging 32, 5, and 6. Once again, we'd get the 1 seed with a record of 67 and 15, but somehow we were eliminated in the conference finals against the Minnesota Timberwolves in 4 games. This Timberwolves team wasn't even that good, except for the fact that they have that LeBron James guy who averaged 31, 5, and 9 against us. But that's okay because going into the 10th year of my career, my game was as smooth as it had ever been. I was coming down the floor and hitting pull-up jump shots, locking up on defense. Hell, I was even crossing dudes over and getting to the basket for easy dunks. On this opening night, I even had my highest scoring point total at 53 points on 18 for 26 shooting. So I was expecting another massive year, even though my super team had dissipated due to the salaries not matching up. That is where I would unfortunately be very wrong, as we went so long to begin the season without even getting one win. In fact, that LeBron James guy already won his first MVP award, and my team fucking sucked, finishing near the bottom of the NBA with a record of 19-63. I averaged 33 points per game, but that shit is not cutting it, man. The rest of my squad is fucking awful. I got too many white guys for my liking, and that was a big reason why we didn't even make the playoffs and the Mavs won the championship. Heading into the 11th season of my career, I had no time to waste, so I demanded a trade out of Seattle and got to the Houston Rockets. This team is once again very good, as we have guys like Kenyon Martin and Jerry Stackhouse, and we were actually picked to finish top 5 in the NBA in the preseason power rankings. We would beat the Denver Nuggets 122-110 on November 3rd, and in that game we saw our full potential, as I had 33 points and my guy Kenyon Martin had 21 and 12. I think this is going to be a dynamic duo that the league is going to fear for a long time. And because I was nearing age 30, my body was starting to deteriorate just a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was still holding my own and getting an insane amount of buckets. And in this game here against the Pacers, they were sending double teams, but I was able to just shoot my way over them. Even in a close game, I was able to put my stamp on this one with some game-sealing free throws. But I only had 22 points in this game on below 50% shooting from the field. It felt like my body was starting to give out on me, or something was just wrong. But I've given my life to this game, so I continued to play through the season. My guy Gilbert Arenas made news for pulling a gun on his teammate this year. Clearly it didn't matter too much because he still won MVP. I felt my way slipping down the charts as I only made All-NBA third team. While my Houston Rockets did make the playoffs as the 7th seed with a record of 46 and 36, I averaged my lowest points in the last 3 years of my career, and I made a promise to myself that these NBA playoffs would be my last, because I wanted my body to be okay so I could play with my daughter Gianna and not be in a wheelchair by the time I'm 40. Unfortunately, we found ourselves down 3-0 in the first round against the 2 seed Minnesota. It was thanks to this young gun LeBron James that is just dominant, to be quite frank. But I had to go in here one last time to try and will my team to a victory. I even took the responsibility to guard LeBron, and I was holding my own. He was guarding me too, and this almost just felt like it was meant to be. But early into the second quarter, I could feel my legs starting to go, and it got to the point where I just couldn't get shots to fall at all. Unfortunately, this would end up being my last game in the NBA, and it felt like my career had just started. We ended up losing 127-120, and I had 38 points, 8 rebounds, and 9 assists, but I just couldn't quite will my team to victory like I could in the past. The team had been eliminated for the last time. Minnesota Timberwolves with LeBron James would end up winning the NBA title, and this would go ahead and mark the end of my 11-year career. My career totals would end up being 30 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists for my whole career. The thing that mattered to me the most was being able to go home to my daughter Gianna. So that's what I'm going to do, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed my career, and if you did, hit the like and subscribe button. I just want to say thank you guys so much for the support on the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'm Kobe Bryant.